We begin tonight with the murder of an Australian college baseball player in Oklahoma, a crime involving teenagers who police say killed out of boredom. 22-year-old Christopher Lane from Melbourne, Australia, was attending school in the United States. On Friday, he was gunned down while jogging along a road. Here's a portion of the 911 call that came from a woman who found him.
There's a young man, he's just fell over in the ditch and he's got blood on him. Tell him to hurry. He's turning blue, he said.
Is he breathing? Is he conscious? Is he talking to you? What's he
doing? He's not conscious. Is he still breathing? Barely.
3 suspects are under arrest. What was the motive? Well, they told police that they were bored and killed for the fun of it. 16-year-old Chauncey Allen Luna and 15-year-old James Francis Edwards, Jr. have been charged with first-degree murder, and 17-year-old Michael Jones is charged with accessory to murder. All 3 of those will be tried as adults. And one of the many questions we have tonight, where were the parents? Well, here's the mother of one and the father of another.
I know in my heart that he did not pull that trigger.
It's just like the families in Australia. They're hurting me. I'm hurting the same way. I don't cry on the outside. I'm crying right here from the heart right now.
All right, Kimberly, we have you here tonight to talk. I want to start with the legal piece of this, which is boredom a legal defense?
Yeah. It's just really sad. It just shows the complete lack of regard for human life, for the sanctity of life. It's very troubling to see this type of thing happening with the youth in America. Some questions as to whether or not there was any kind of gang affiliation or involvement. A lot more we need to discover and learn about this case and perhaps what the motive was, behind it. But they're looking at a serious time, and they should be tried as adults. That's proper, and they're looking at being put behind bars, and they should.
Because they are under 18, they are not eligible for the death penalty, as I understand it. Is that unusual, or is that Oklahoma? Is that pretty standard?
No, that's uniform. So you're not going to put someone to death that's under the age of 18. However,
but he can do a whole life sentence.
But they can have a life sentence. For example, if they're being tried as adults, they won't be held just indefinitely in a youth detention facility, or what would be the equivalent of a youth prison. They would be transferred then to an adult facility after they reach the age of 18 to be with the regular adult population. Sometimes they can hold them up until about 21 and then put them in with the adult prisoners.
Eric, he was a promising young baseball player, not somebody who was necessarily going to go pro, but was from Australia, here studying in Oklahoma, had just visited his girlfriend. He didn't even have a chance to defend himself because they shot him in the back.
Shot him in the back while he was jogging. Look, these 3 punks murdered Chris Lane for the sport of it. They should never see the light of day again. They've lost the right to walk free among us. They've obviously no heart, no conscience, no souls. Lock them up, throw away the key. But here's the big question for me. Now, earlier I wrote, where's Reverend Al and where's Jesse Jackson? Jesse Jackson did make a comment. Well, I guess we'll bring it out at some point. Thank you for that, Reverend. But where's Reverend Al? Where's President Obama, who said if he had a son, he'd look like Trayvon Martin? If he had another son, he'd look like Trayvon Martin.
Maybe that's him now.
And that wasn't Bob.
But more importantly, maybe he will make a comment, maybe he won't. I think at the presser today, the spokesman said he didn't really understand what the case was all about. Very importantly, where's the media? They've spent more time on Obama's new dog than they have on this case, with the exception of this show.
Well, Ed Henry asked the question today. Ed Henry asked the question, what do you think about what happened? By the way, this is an international incident. The Prime Minister spoke out about it. This is Australia is in mourning. They believe, they're looking at us and go, is this the Wild West? Is America totally out of control? I mean, why is it that a jogger would get shot in Oklahoma, not the capital of, criminal behavior? You don't expect to see it. It's not Chicago. So here we have a situation where the press secretary is not even read into the lead story at the #1 network in the country, and I believe this was covered extensively on CNN as well. And here's the other thing. These guys were laughing. They thought it was a joke. They still think it's a joke. They say on their Facebook, I dropped 2 tonight. It's a good night. Who's the other guy?
1 to go, right.
Yeah, who's the other guy?
Bob, they seem to have been prolific on Twitter and Facebook, and even one of them at one point saying that it could help his rap career if he were in jail. And I understand that the mom and dad, any mom and dad, professes innocence of their child when you find something like this. But do you think that they were really that surprised when they got the call?
Well, first of all, let me say that phone that was ringing was not mine. It was Kimberly's. One of her former husbands demanded.
No, this is my broken phone, and now you know why I had to switch from it.
That's what it was. But listen, a couple of things strike me about this. One, there is some rumors, and I think there's something to be said about it, that this may be a gang-related issue. These guys are members of gangs because the Crips and the Bloods who started in Los Angeles have spread all across the country now. The other thing I would say, Brian, to you is when people in Australia are saying, what's America like? It's not just Australia. It's around the world. People in the civilized world do not understand where we hang guns out to everybody, and people get killed. They don't get it. And I don't get it either.
But look at the different. So the father of Lane, so he's also Mr. Lane, what he said in Australia was he doesn't think that everybody in Oklahoma is a criminal. He specifically said that these are three evil people. He didn't even want to speak about them, not even give them the time of day. And for anyone who suggested that maybe Australians curtail their travel plans to the United States, he said that's ridiculous. America is not like that.
Well, the Deputy Prime Minister actually said, rethink your plans to come to the United States. Here's a question. How long before one of these bozos on the left start pointing the finger at the NRA and start saying, get the guns off the streets?
I'll do it right now.
Okay, well, thank you, Bob. It took you 6 minutes into the show before you did that. How about let's talk about crime?
Well, you don't like stop and frisk, though.
Yeah.
But there's no
This is why it works.
That stop and frisk would have done anything with
this. Could not have happened in Australia.
What couldn't have happened in
This could not have happened. They have very strict gun laws.
It could not have happened in Australia.
Well, I mean, if somebody got an illegal gun, you could do it. Yes, their laws are strict.
This can happen anywhere.
Oh,
criminals
really?
get guns anywhere.
Well, they don't allow guns. They don't have many killings.
By the way, hold on. Can I point something out? These kids were underage. They couldn't have gotten a legal firearm anyway.
That's
it can happen anywhere. A 15, 16, 17-year-old group can kill anyone anywhere.
These guns are going around. They're illegal. They're finding their way in the hands of kids like this, and that's because they won't have strict gun control laws over these. You can't make the case. Those kids were using illegal handguns as it was. And if we didn't have handguns, we wouldn't have that problem.
Just no handguns at all?
No, I think you could have a handgun at a range.
You have a guy, these three kids, one driver and two other guys, driving around looking to kill somebody. Guns aren't the problem. This behavior, killing somebody and laughing about it, saying I was bored and not understanding what they're saying, that's the issue. Guns are so far removed from the problem.
Brian, I understand, but you take these evil personalities like these guys and you put a lethal weapon in their hands, you're going to have this kind of